So with the whole of that now done, what we want to do is do the post shading. Right, there is actually some more spraying I want to do on this. I'll be showing you later. Really sort of funky stuff. I'm just going to now get out some H2 black. Right. I'm going to add a little bit more thinners because we want to keep the mixture thin, like 10% paint to thinners. Right, the more transparent it is, the less likely you're going to sort of make a big mistake and put too much coverage down. I mean, yes, maybe if it's too thin, there is that possibility of you don't get enough down, so you may have to sort of go over it maybe 2 or 3 times. I've had to do that in some places, but you know, better to do that than have to deal with, you know, basically have to sort of rub the paint off. So I've just mixed that up, maybe a little bit darker than that, so I'm putting a little bit more black just in here. Right, maybe a bit darker. I mean, you normally want it sort of fairly darkish. Right, we'll see how that goes now. Right, there we go. Just get that off. Clean off the paintbrush a little bit, put our lid back on. Now this is sort of, again, just like pre-shading, right? We're going to follow those panel lines, only the whole point is, because it's post-shading, we're doing it after we've done all our painting, so we're going to basically bring out these panel lines a little bit more. So first off, let's blast what's in our little reservoir just to get it the colour we want it. Right, and then, you know, again, we want to get that biting point. We want to have our PSI about 15 PSI, nice and thin paint. You know, practice a little bit, make sure you're getting that biting point nicely. All right, maybe play with it, and then we're ready to put this on. Right then, so we're gonna start by doing a little bit just here, getting that biting point, and we're just gonna start sort of spraying in these panel lines. Right, now if you feel like it's going down a little bit too strong, right, just add a bit more thinners, which, to be fair, I feel like it's a little bit too strong. Right, better to be stronger and more transparent, and as I say, better to go over an area 2 or 3 times than just mess it up in the first go. So a little bit more finish just there, but the colour looks nice. Right, okay. Blast through what's in that reservoir, remember, and then we're going to come back to this and start basically just following the panel lines. Now I find with this, best not to be all square, neat, precise. Right, weathering is very sort of random. Right, keep it random. I sort of try and hold that biting point and just try and go. Just keep going is what I try and do. If like you lose your biting point slightly as you're going along, no big deal. It just means one area doesn't get a bit of our post shading, right? And it doesn't matter if sort of like you go over an area twice, because it just means one area is going to be a little bit stronger than the other, and it just gives us this random sort of bit of post shading. As you can see, right, it's sort of very, very sort of random, nothing uniform about it, and this is what we're after. Just keep it just nice and random. Right, and I just find it easy if you just try and keep on, hold the biting point and just keep moving the airbrush. Don't stop or stick around. Right, as you can see, looking very sort of dirty now. Right, so I'm just going to go over the rest of this. So there is the difference now with all that extra weathering on. The whole combination, pre-shading, bleaching, post-shading, really gives a lot of flavour to your actual flat plain paintwork, so really is rather nice. Also, I mean, you might think that maybe that's a little bit too much in your face. The problem is, I mean, it is a bit of experience, but what you sort of need to remember is when you do all this pre-shading, post-shading, bleaching, all that kind of stuff, is what we're going to do, we're going to end up putting gloss coats on top of this, decals on top. We're going to put gloss coats, more gloss coats, we're going to weather it up, and then we're going to put a matte coat on it, and all that stuff. Although you're thinking, yeah, you're only putting on, you know, clear gloss and clear matte and all this kind of stuff, but the weathering and everything, just, it does seem to just feather things in, blends things in, and it does sort of knock it back a little bit, right? So kind of bear that in mind, that what it is now is going to get knocked back a bit. So the way you want it, just do it that little bit more intense than you want it, knowing that it's going to get knocked back a bit. So hopefully you're liking that. Next bit I want to do is, you know, aircraft carriers, right? All that salt weathering from the ocean and everything really sort of wears down the paintwork, because, you know, it's salt water. And what they end up doing is they go around with an aerosol can, and, you know, when the paint's starting to chip away, they'll just come along with an aerosol can, spray it on, you know, and it's normally in the recessed panel lines where, you know, it gets chipped. And then the salt gets in and sort of makes it worse. So they go around with these aerosol cans. So what I want to do is I want to make some more intense areas. Now this might look a bit too over the top, but there is another stage to this, and what you want to do is just pick some random areas and just make them, you know, a lot more intense. So I'm just going to like pick this little panel line here, and I'm really gonna darken it up. Right. So that's like pretty sort of overboard there, and it's just a bit of a random here and there. Right, it doesn't have to be an entire panel, it could just be, you know, a little area like that. Maybe just a little bit just at the end here. Right. Oh, sorry, you probably missed that on camera. Maybe a bit at the back here on the engine section. Another little bit. Let's get you on camera this time. Just another little bit just here. Let's just, you know, intensify that. Really start to darken it up. Yeah, just like that. It's a bit sort of overboard, but just feel free, just a little here and there, but at the same time don't go overboard, right? Because you can really sort of, yeah, go too far with this technique. It's just a bit here and a bit there. You could do some medium ones as well. I think I might just, oh, actually the other thing is as well, we've got things like flaps and ailerons and stuff. We can sort of just darken these areas up a little bit. Right, I'm actually coming like a couple more inches away from the model to give it a more broader, sort of just a bit more of a general darkening on these areas, just to kind of show that they're working parts, and the oil and grease, it kind of gets going on it and it's moving, and it just kind of makes things that a little bit more. Even our engine section here, maybe like we did before with the pre-shading, just make it a little bit darker, just a general little mist, and it just darkens those areas up a bit. Right, hopefully you're liking that. So the next step is we need to get out some, I do believe it's, which colour was it again? Some pure H307.